Today, there is a lot of talk about story. Embrace your story, share your story. We have the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that are placed upon us. When it comes to story, I think we have it all wrong. It's not our story that moves us forward. In fact, they can trap us and keep us stuck. I was almost stuck in mine. It all started when I was a little girl. Looking back over my life, I should not be alive. I came into this world as a creative, chatty, bubbly little girl. My heart's desire was to be a fashion model, a Charlie's Angels, and whoever it is that writes those really, really funny commercials, I definitely wanted to be that little girl. When I was about 8 years old, my first step to realizing those dreams was to make pom-poms. So I gathered my paper and my straight pins, and I set them out on the carpet and started to shred the paper. I placed the pin in my mouth like I had seen my grandmother do so many times when she was hemming my uncle's pants. I thought that I felt something running down my chin. And so, with one big inhale, I swallowed that pin. The x-ray revealed that the pin was about an inch away from my heart. I don't think I need to tell you what kind of damage that could have done. But I am still here. It was not the first time or the last mistake or accident that I made. My family began to say, "Here comes that mistake, baby. Oh, here comes that accident, child." They weren't trying to hurt me, but the story still stuck with me. Years later in high school, I was crossing the street to get the school bus when an elderly woman decided to hit me with her car. I catapulted across the street on the right side of my body, ending up under the school bus. As I looked up, I could see the black tire coming towards me. I could hear the sound of the driver pressing for dear life, trying to stop that school bus. The tire rested gently on the right side of my body. I survived. Praise God, I survived. So much so that I stood up, I looked at my friends, and I announced, "Hey, I'm having a really, really bad day, so I'm gonna go home." Me and my fractured pelvis and my swollen face limped home. Mistake baby, accident baby, to, "Hey, aren't you that girl that got hit by the bus?" For years, I felt like my story was, "Hi, I'm Toi, and I'm bad luck," because I had been called that too. When I was in my 30s, my husband and I decided that we wanted to start our family. After years of trying, IVF was our only option. I was about 6 months into our pregnancy when I went to bed that night, and I woke up a few hours later. I was sweating. Everything was orange. I was vomiting. I started having seizures. I was really worried about our son, Miles. I passed out. My husband called 911. When we arrived at the hospital, I was told that my uterus had erupted and that Miles had passed away. I had to go into emergency surgery. I spent 8 days in the hospital. I had an infection in my uterus, 2 blood transfusions, pneumonia. Trying to process the fact that I can no longer have children, we planned our son's funeral. The story that I told myself was that I had a broken uterus, a dead baby. I was useless. I was broken. Clearly bad luck. What is story? Merriam Dictionary describes story or defines story as a report or a description of an event or an experience. Story describes our past. It's the past that we allow to dictate our lives and define our future. Accident baby, mistake baby, that girl that was hit by the bus, broken, useless woman. This was my story. I realized in my darkest moments that this story was keeping me stuck. My past, these labels, they were trapping me. They say there are 7 stories that have ever been told: Overcoming the Monster, Rags to Riches, The Quest, The Voyage, and Return, a comedy, a tragedy, The Rebirth. These are all great stories. But here's the secret. An adventure? Oh, adventures are limitless. I decided that if I was going to take control of my life, I would have to shift my idea about story. I had to reject the idea of story and embrace the idea of adventure. Adventures are not without danger and unknown risk. However, I refuse to be broken and useless. This story, it would not define me. So when my sister-in-law offered to be my surrogate, I could have told myself that I didn't deserve joy. I didn't deserve to be happy because that was how it seemed that my life was going. I said, yes, I am ready for this adventure. Today, we have a beautiful, creative son. He is my adventure. My life had become my adventure. I have a successful business where I get to help people define and create their own adventures. My life is no longer a story about my past. It's my adventure, and I'm running full speed ahead. Don't let your story define you and keep you stuck. You get to control that narrative. Shift your perspective. Adventures allow you to learn from your past, release it, and move on. Life is not a story that we have to replay in our heads. We don't need to replay those tapes. It's an adventure that we get to create for ourselves. So go, create yours.